Grand Rising, loved ones. How are you? I'm up early this morning because my heart is a little heavy, if I can be honest. And I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys. When I came into the truth, I was in like an incubation period with Yahuwah. I didn't know that was his name. I just started to have this overwhelming desire to know him more. And I was just literally sitting and praying and just telling him, I want to know you more. I know there's more. I know that there's more that I don't know. I feel like I'm missing something, And as I'm praying, I clearly hear him say to me, start with my name. And I'm thinking, what? What do you mean start with your name? What does that even mean? Like, I was baffled. But that whole day, miraculously, he was sending me videos of people talking about his name and how we'd been deceived and how my stomach took his name out of the Bible thousands of times and to deceive us. It was all to deceive us. And so I started doing my research. I was angry. I was sad. I was remorseful. I was apologetic. I was a lot of things. I felt a lot of things when I really realized that I had been calling him the wrong name all my life. And I know and understand that he winks at us, or he did. There was grace. That's why. A lot of people got saved under JC's name. That's why I was filled with his Ruach at 12 years old with the wrong name. But he knows my heart, right? And so there was grace for that. But that grace period is over. It's time for us to wake up. Now he's saying he's waking up the remnants. It's time to wake up and know the truth. But learning his name is the first step. People are getting caught up in his name. They're arguing about his name. They're just focused on his name. Now, don't get me wrong. There is power in his name. Okay? He says, my name is Yahuwah. He sent his son in his name, Yahusha. And that is a huge deal. Don't misunderstand me. But what it's supposed to do, and what it did for me, was cause me to research and start really seeking him for myself. I grew up in Christianity. We were trained and taught to have someone else constantly tell us how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to have a relationship. I mean, Christianity talks about relationship, but they don't teach real relationship with Yahuwah. So what it did for me is it made me want to know him more from him, because I didn't trust anybody else. I didn't trust all these pastors. I didn't trust all these evangelists. I didn't trust nobody, because I realized everybody was lying to me. Whether it was intentionally or they learned the same way that I learned, and they don't know the truth either. I didn't trust nobody but Yahuwah. And I said, I am going to get to know you, because clearly I'm not going to know who I am and why I'm here if I don't get to know you first. So I started seeking him for myself. Reading the Torah, which is the Old Testament, from beginning, like the love story that it is, all the way through. Sorry, I went to the dentist yesterday and they jacked my mouth all up. So if you notice something weird, just ignore it. Anyway, it's messing with the way I'm talking. Read the Torah all the way through. From Genesis all the way through. Find the missing books, because they're really not missing. They're just put away for those that's really going to seek him and really want to know him, Yahuwah, they're very easy to find. They're there for you if you're really looking for. He said, if you seek me, you will find me. So yes, his name is very important, but don't get caught up in only his name. Learn his name and then get to know him and his love for his children and what we put him through. Being disobedient and stiff-necked. Learn him. Learn how to abide and hear him for yourself, because that's what it's all about. We're all individuals. You don't have to join these camps. And now you got somebody else that knows his real name that's telling you how to be and how to live. And, you don't have to do that. I have my own relationship with Yahuwah that I seek daily. I listen for him so that I can obey. He says, my sheep know my voice and they follow me. Period. He didn't say my sheep know my name and they start these camps and they start preparing for war and they start arguing with other people and telling them they don't know his name and they're wrong. And he didn't say any of that. He said, my sheep know my voice and they follow me, which means they obey. That's what's important. Yes, learning his name will help wake you up to know that there is truth out there, including and especially his name and the fact that JC character is not his son that he sent. They stole his story, but you're worshiping a false god, the Antichrist, because that's not his name. And the story that Christianity teaches, where you are, all you have to do is just believe and you're saved and you don't have to follow the Old Testament commandments and all of that, is a lie. That is not Yahusha. And now that's all everybody's worshiping. They don't even mention the Father hardly anymore. And when they do, they're saying God and Lord, which is Baal, which is another false god. They've completely cut Yahuwah out. But they think there's going to be a rapture, which is not biblical. They were supposed to inherit the earth. He made this earth for us, and he was going to get a new one. If you just read your word, if you just read it for yourself, like your life depends on it, you'll start to see and understand the truth. Because he said, if you seek me, you will find me. If he sees, because he's standing there at the door, he's constantly talking to you. If you're chosen, he's constantly trying to get you to wake up. If you really seek him, you will find him, he says. So I'm starting to see all these people that are just focused on his name. I learned his name, so I'm good. It's like, no, you learned his name, which means that everything else that you've been living has been a lie. Find out learn who he is so that he can show you who you are and why you're here. You might be doing something that you weren't even created to do it. It's very sad. I'm just seeing all the fights and the arguments and the comments, and you don't know his name, and that ain't his name, and or that is his name, and that's all they're focused on. That's all they're focused on. We found out his real name. Yes, and that's great. But you have no authority to use the power that is in that name if you don't have a real relationship with him. If you're not sitting and getting to know him, reading your word, praying, abiding, worshiping, fasting, if you're not doing the things that he's telling you to do that will help you in this crazy life that we're in, the name is not going to matter for you. It's not. It's so easy to get caught up in things because we're sheep. Like, sheep get caught up in a bush, or they get caught up in the fence, or they get caught up. If they're not focused on their shepherd and allowing him to lead them and obeying him by hearing his voice and doing what he says, come here, I'm over here. You're going to get caught up in all kinds of stuff because you have an enemy. Mastema, Satan.